Ho, ho, ho. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I am Aaron Twist, and I'm joined by the sibling Gabriel Twist.
Yep, wrapped up here in a pretzel of unusual plot developments and, I suppose, weather-appropriate Christmas stories.
I do not enjoy this episode. It always creeped me out when I was a child, and seeing it now as an adult, it is an awful, awful episode.
It's fucking weird, because I come at these things with all this fancy book learning about how, plots are supposed to work and shit. And if there's something I've noticed about, old kids shows, none of that matters. Literally, any thought you have, and I'm not even talking about getting, you may think about, oh yeah, Chekhov's gun, where you show a thing early in the episode, and then that thing does something later in the episode. Because it creates this little cohesiveness that the human brain likes, because these are patterns.
Yeah.
And you think that, and you're like, oh yeah, okay, that's a fairly basic one that a lot of, people can identify these days. And this doesn't even do that. That's the nutty thing about it. I feel like, because it's called Santa Claus, but claws are spelled C-L-A-W-S.
Yeah.
As in, the bits of keratin sharpened to rend flesh that some animals and whatnot are fortunate enough to have. And I feel like that was just that alone. If you had a pun, you were allowed to write Australian children's television episodes, which is fucking bullshit. Because I could do that. Fucking shit.
Well, I guess we know why there is no Round the Twist 2.
Pie. God fucking damn it.
Yeah, you're bad at this.
I don't think in puns.
No, puns come naturally. You don't need, that's the thing. You're trying to think.
Yeah.
Don't think. They'll just come naturally.
It's like, I had a housemate once who said that she wanted to shart, and it took a long time for me to explain to her that the desire to shart precluded the existence of a shart. It is by itself an accidental event. You can't do that deliberately. Otherwise, that's just you shitting your pants.
Yourself, yeah.
And that's a different thing altogether.
Exactly. So yeah, this episode, the Santa Claus, and we starts off with a Christmas tree, and Santa Claus is written on the screen in white as if it's being sprayed on
that fake
a
snow
glass.
shit that they put on glass.
And you see the hand, this gnarly looking hand.
It looks a little bit like Sabretooth's hand from the X-Men Origins movie.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, and that's something I noticed about this. I don't know what was going on at the ABC back then, but we come off one special effects extravaganza of insane video editing skills using fast forward and rewind, and that is some basic shit. And then we get to this one that has weirdly good prosthetics.
Yeah.
I feel like looking into that, maybe someone who really wanted to work, because there's every now and then someone in Australia is talented enough to escape, and they get to go and do whatever it is they do somewhere else. And sometimes it's prop builders and stuff that you don't normally kind of think about, but they did a lot of that work for the Matrix movies and shit like that. There was a lot of Australian prop workers and makeup designers and whatnot for the weird shit, not just making me look like I'm not a goblin.
Yeah.
But the fucking fancy makeup. And I feel like maybe one of these people was just unbeknownst to all of us,
Possibly.
unbelievably talented in
Possibly.
Because the claws don't look like shit. They look weirdly good. And then a later development also looks upsettingly good. And it just, it's part of just a very straight, this wasn't an episode so much as it was an experience.
Yeah, I felt robbed of my time, yet I felt like no time had passed. It was... It was odd. So the episode opens with Pete asleep in front of the TV.
Yeah, and he wakes up for a second.
Because Bronson's waking him up, because Bronson's under the tree.
And it's a kind of it's the lighthouse isn't tremendously decorated, but there's a bit of effort going into
tinsel
it.
Here and there.
Pete and Linda are definitely post Santa Claus, but Bronson, well, absolutely Absolutely not. Still a big feature in his day. And Dad Twist being, in the kind of arty type that he is, while not being a believer or a reinforcer of the Santa myth, is also not one to, want to disabuse Bronson. So he gets to have his faith in the international present man.
And then this part was the confusing part, the very first part, because Pete falls back asleep and the screen warps.
Yeah, no, it's distinctly
like
a dream
that's
sequence. Yeah,
starting. And we cut to them in the ute going to school, and Pete is wearing a handkerchief
over his mouth,
around his mouth, like a bandit.
Yeah, like one of those old fucking, the really old timey Western style bandits with or people who can't be bothered to buy a fucking $5 pack of masks these days.
And the kids seem to be worried and having to make a diversion so Pete can get into the school without Gribble seeing him.
Yeah.
So we already know something's afoot.
Well, that because again, you have the dream sequence wobble. You're expecting the dream sequence, like a dream sequence is usually a sequence. Like it usually ends fairly
2 minutes
quickly.
tops.
Yeah. Like if that, like Land of Chocolate in the Simpsons style, like where we're going away for a second, but we're coming back, Because otherwise you don't need to show me the wobbling. We don't need it to be this heavily signaled.
No.
So we just wobble away to what looks like it could be like a weird little couple of second thing that just keeps going.
It was odd. So the kids make a distraction. Somehow Linda has a rabbit.
Yeah, okay. Like they had a Cabbage Patch the other day, so
don't question it at this point.
I mean, of all the things in fucking, I almost called it like Twin Peaks, and to be honest, that's like this episode
Twist
is
Peaks.
Yeah, like round the peaks. Like this episode is a combination of like David Lynch and David Cronenberg. We got the two Daves at work here today.
Dave and Cronin Dave.
The twin Daves.
Gribble spots Pete, of course.
Well, yeah, but like there was a moment when Linda had like the rabbit and just ran straight up to like fucking Gribble and like rabbit and shit, and I was like, they're distracting rabbit with a rabbit. It's like that's
some clever shit.
Yeah, like I feel like there's moments in this where I feel like this is dumb, poorly organized nonsense, but then there's like little moments where I'm like, oh, this could be like outsider art. This could be someone doing something in a way that's just much smarter than I am.
No, it's so fucking deep, dude. It's rabbits upon rabbits.
It's dangerous waters.
Yeah. They spot Pete and give sort of a little chase. The scene doesn't last long at all.
No, yeah, he kind of like, he injures himself leaping the fence and then runs away, and it just cuts to like they're in class.
Yeah.
It doesn't really resolve. And like, that's okay within like, because if you ever have those really vivid dreams where you wake up and you fucking remember that shit.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh yeah, it made like, because in the dream it's like, oh yeah, this is real. But then it's like, oh yeah, it made no sense how I was just outside. Like, and it's like, yeah, that's like that dream geography shit going on where it's just, you can just be in another place. And like, they're in the class with like Professor Mustache or whatever his name is. Like, we figured that out last week. Stanford, Stan Beef, Mustache. Yeah, like, well, him,
It was a snapper?
Fuck, I don't remember. Like, I only remember one of my high school teachers, and that's because her last name was Austin, and I would call her Stone Cold Mrs. Austin.
I love that we forget this guy's name
It's a very forgettable name. It's not a forgettable face, to be fair. Like, and he has a personality, so I'll give him that. But like, he's going on about like the Hunchback of Notre Dame, which is like, dangerously intertextual for this show. And then like, we just get a cut to like shots of like fucking someone peeking out of something. And like, Pete's hidden in a locker in the back of the classroom and just gets out. Like, that's where he's been hiding. And it's like, okay. Did nobody, like, because the thing was open a crack. Like, I'd notice.
The thing that really threw me was the heavy breathing.
Yeah, like he's in there.
Because it said in subtitles in brackets, heavy breathing. And it was audibly very heavy.
It was, you remember those X-Files episodes where it'd occasionally be from the point of view of the killer or the monster or whatever, and there'd always be that kind of, it was that. It was like almost that exact sound.
It's ridiculous because if I'm in a closet I'm just gonna go like this.
Yeah. Like
I'm not gonna go.
Yeah. Like that makes sense if you're running up a hill. Like if the thing was like, oh yeah, look, the monster's been running up a hill, and it's like, yeah, my heart rate would be up. I'd be breathing pretty deeply. Like unless I had to carry the cupboard I'm hiding in up there, you know, like I should. Yeah, I'm just in the cupboard quite
Pete
quiet.
just decided it would be a good idea to try to crank one out before the class came in.
Look, it just, you know,
I mean, racing the clock. It's part of the turn on.
Yeah, I mean, also, is this a dream? Maybe you can have a dream wank at school. I don't know. I don't know what the rules are.
Did you ever wank at school?
Like in a dream or real?
Either or.
No.
Yeah, Sam.
There's no, no, like, because there's just no value to that, you know? Like, the best I'm going to be able to do is, like, maybe, you know, in the middle of a class, go to the toilet and, you know, have a quick jack off. But, like, at no point am I going to be that horny at school that I have to do that. Because, you know, there's a risk-reward ratio here. And it's like, okay, what do I get? What's my reward? Oh, yeah, I come. And then, like, okay, I come at school. All right, well, that's already a bit weird. I come at school in the toilets. And it's like, yeah, that's not a very attractive sight, you know? Like, the toilets at a school never, like, they didn't smell awful like some, but it's just like, it's that urinal cake stench. You know, that's not a horny stench for me. And then, you know, like, there's the last factor is just like, what if someone just like catches me somehow, you know? Because then you're the guy that was wanking at school and you may as well kill yourself.
No one wants to be that guy.
That's it. Like, it's just like, well.
Look, this isn't a have you ever, but I want, if you know of someone, and you heard a story, like if you're at a school and you know of someone that jacked off in the toilet, please write us. That would be, I'd like to.
Yeah, I would like to hear about that because like, you know, because again, like I'm thinking about times, like it's not fun to take a shit at school.
No.
And I'm thinking about times when I was, and there was this like this really weird kid, which, you know, he was from like Papua New Guinea or something. So that's kind of how he got away with it. But he had like that crazy fucking, like, I come from a village mindset where he was just happy to talk to anybody, anywhere, anytime. And I'll just never forget like sitting on the toilet and then just hearing a noise. And then he's just looking over the edge of like the stall and like, he's not trying to throw a cup of water on me or something. He's just talking. It's just like, you know, that could happen. You know, so
just jacking it. He comes in.
Yeah, and that probably wouldn't even faze me. Just be like, oh, jacking it at school, huh? Yeah, that's
rad.
Yeah, that's cool. I'll let you finish.
Yeah, right on.
And then he wouldn't leave. Like he'd say, I'd let you finish, and then he wouldn't go away like that. You know, so you just have to kind of like, well, you know, is the glass half full here? Like, are we gonna finish, or are we just gonna go? No, well, you know, and like again, none of this is like I could just wait till I get home. I don't know why I fucking want to wank at school.
So Pete decides he's going to try to sneak out of his closet because Fiona's going to play a part of the female in...
What's her name?
Quasimodo.
Well, no, that's the Quasimodo.
Yeah, no. That's what I'm trying to say.
So Isabella or something?
Something
it's something,
like that.
Yeah. It's something.
I didn't write that down.
Because I think she was like in the story, she's like a gypsy woman or something. She's like, she's an exotic ethnicity to what would have been like, you know, Italy at the time.
So Pete sneaks out
I think it's Italy.
to sit next to Fiona.
Yeah, and he's still got the thing on.
Yeah.
And like Gerbil and Rabbit have already nominated him for the Hunchback, which, you know, yeah, fair enough. That's just classic bullying. Like,
Mr. I think Stanford.
I'll take your word for it.
He turns around and he decides he's gonna. Oh, Pete, you finally rocked up. Good to see you, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, doesn't acknowledge the fact that he like finally rocked up out of a cupboard in the back of class.
Yeah, no, he acknowledges he's just there.
It's within eyesight. Like it's not like this is a secret. No.
Now I wrote down something here that really confused me.
Mm.
Barnard's birthday party.
I don't know why you wrote that either. I wrote, you know.
No, because he says that's what he said.
Is he?
Yeah, he says like Barnard's birthday party, Miss the teacher.
Okay.
And I don't know why.
I wrote teachers zinging kids. Because, like, there's something clearly wrong with Pete. And Pete gives him that note that says, oh, he's got a sore throat. And then, like, the teacher starts
lost his voice.
Yeah, so I won't have to hear you speak all day. That's wonderful. And just starts burning him in front of the class. And, like, that's some, like, classic Australian education. That's some, some brilliant, pedagogy there is, like, just ripping on a student in front of, like, their entire peer group.
I've Googled Barnard's birthday party and it's nothing.
Yeah, I didn't.
They made that up.
Like, And so they decide, all right, well, Pete's going to be the hunchback. And then, like, I think we both wrote this where, he just, what is he? Because all I wrote was,
I wrote creepy.
Yeah, all right, that's fair.
At 3:55, he turns around and his eyes, brows raised, and he goes,
It's just a bit much. Like because it's slightly outside of his behavior so far. And it's like the entire time, you probably sit at home going, yeah, they're in a dream sequence. And it's like, yeah, but we're well past the barriers of that now. Like, it's just like, it's very strange. I'm not sure what I'm fucking dealing with here. And then so, like, I think the bell goes, and it's like an actual bell.
That's what threw me. I'm like, they have a bell tower?
I mean, I assume some did. Like, I went to two very old, like, well, I suppose Indooroopilly wasn't very old, but my primary school was like 125 years old. It was like one of the first schools in Queensland. But even then, like, if there was a bell tower at some point, I think it had been knocked down. Like, there was... Like, they were all electric. They were bells, but they were those, like, fucking clangy ones, like it. And there was one that was just, like, a weird siren that didn't sound right. And I hated that one. Stanhope. Okay.
And yeah, so Pete climbs the bell tower.
Yeah, they do the actual Hunchback of Notre Dame fucking bit. Yeah.
So he runs up the bell tower and Rabbit, Gribbs, and Tiger chase.
Yeah. And the crazy thing is like, he goes up a ladder, and it's like, Gribble, Rabbit, and Tiger have to follow him up a ladder. And he's up there, with sandbags. Like this, and like, they have to go up through a little fucking square. So it's like, this is an incredibly defensible position. If you're not willing to drop a sandbag on a fucking 12-year-old, and, look, really, in this country, you have to be prepared for that. At least, like, the first...
Also, they're your bullies.
Yeah.
They beat you up.
And are here to torment you and torture you, Like, you could just, like, honestly, if there were kids trying to follow you up a ladder anywhere in Australia, like, if I was trying to follow a kid up a ladder, I know for a fact that within about 3 seconds, I would see a bare bum peeking through that hole, and I'd be threatened with getting shit on. Yeah. And then I'd have to make a life choice. It's like, do I want this enough? It's like, no, I'm going to back off. And I'm just surprised that didn't happen. I mean, Pete has a weird patchwork of self-respect. It's like a minefield. I'm trying to learn where I can step, Where are we?
So they get up to the top.
And they pin him against the fucking
They pin him against the wall, and
they rip off the
handkerchief, and he has a tiny mouth.
Yeah, and this is the Cronenberg aspect of it. And this is the bit where it's like, okay, and I need to explain, like, these are on YouTube, and the links will be in the thing, but like, and I do, because this is one of those ones where you have to go look at it. Like, this is a look at this.
If you're listening to this and just go to the YouTube channel, click on the video. The first comment that we pinned will be a link to the episode you can watch on YouTube.
Yeah,
it might be blocked in your country. If that's so, you might have to run a VPN or something, or unblock the website. But
I mean, look, if you're digitally literate these days, you need to know how to get around geo-blocking. That's just. I mean, we do in Australia just because you have to. So I don't know. You'll have to learn that on your own.
You'll work it out.
Yeah, and so it is an upsettingly good makeup job of something that is. Again, you say it's like he's got a tiny mouth, and it's like that's not worse than like, he's got like mouths for eyes, or his face explodes into a big pile of tentacles, or like in The Thing where like they go to give that guy CPR and then his chest is just a mouth. And it's like, that's all fucked up, and it sounds fucked up. You say that, it's like, all right, yeah, that's creepy. I can see that in a horror movie. No one's gonna think he's got a tiny mouth, and it's like, oh yeah, I could structure a fucking horror film around that. But then you see it, and you can't see the seams of the makeup. Like, it is annoyingly well done, this stupid tiny mouth. And even though it shouldn't, and this isn't how mouths work, it gives him a really high-pitched voice. And so now he's got this, and that's the other part too, is it looks a lot like Arseface from the Preacher. But like, if instead of like how the skin's all like twisted up, just to look more like bum skin, like he got the fucking moisturizer on it and just smoothed it right the fuck out. Like Botox. Like, if you Botox Arseface, that's basically what this is. And then it's like, they cut to him sitting trying to, I don't know, have lunch or drink. As he's drinking fucking
He's
popper,
slurping a popper.
And the school, not just his year level, is just in a circle around him laughing.
Pointing, laughing.
That's some classic Australian
Tiger's zinging him. And this part fucking cracked him out, because Fiona's trying to work out what's happened, And she goes, please show me. And he goes,
I promise I won't laugh.
Yeah, I promise I won't laugh. And immediately laughs as he pulls the thing down, which is great because it's not even hesitation. Within like 5 seconds, a full-on laugh.
And the thing is, it's not like the side of it isn't funny.
No.
Like that's the thing about this is it's not.
If someone said don't laugh and they pulled that down, I would not laugh.
Yeah, I'd go, yeah.
Yeah, I'd go, that's fucked, man.
Yeah.
Like what happened?
You know, if like someone goes, hey, you want to see like, you know, I stood on a nail and it ripped my toenail off, want to see, and you look at it,
showing
you're not
everyone
gonna go,
my
ha,
tooth.
ha, ha. Yeah.
Like, oh, look at this. No, I don't want to see that.
Yeah, this is like, it's not like, oh, ha, ha.
Yeah.
Like there are other reactions. I mean, like after you get used to it.
It might be funny.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
you
funny.
can fuck with him and put like straws in and stuff. Little umbrellas.
Yeah.
The little umbrella would be great, actually.
I mean, you could open the umbrella and it would cover it then. So that's like, and then like, so, you know, yeah, I wrote, God almighty, how the fuck does ABC have the money for this Cronenberg shit? And then we're at home with like the not Christmas, the dream Christmas.
And Tony's getting too deep.
Yeah, like.
He gets real deep.
Because fucking Bronson asks about the fucking ontological status of fucking Santa Claus, and like Tony's going on about, well, what is reality? Because he's making a artwork out of a working television.
Are we real?
Yeah.
You know, and it's just like, Tony, your kids are in a crisis here. Pete's got a tiny mouth. Bronson's.
I know.
Bronson doesn't know if Santa's real or not.
To be fair, one of those things takes precedence.
The tiny mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking not now, Bronson. For some reason, my firstborn son's mouth is a weird little burger ring in the middle of his face.
Oh wait, Pete doesn't have the small mouth at this point because this is Pete telling Fiona what happened.
Oh, that's fucking right. No, because this is the
skipped a
bit that
step,
we
yeah.
no, because I forgot about this because I wrote about this, but then I skipped over it because I was like thinking about the fucking high pitched voice.
Yeah.
Fiona asked Pete where the tiny mouth came from in the schoolyard.
Yes.
And that's where he goes, oh yeah, here's how it started. And then we get a flashback in the dream sequence. Which I think is illegal. You're not allowed to do that.
So they're going to the school, and what is it like a junk sale?
It's like a car boot sale or something like that. Like, except it's like, you know, I don't know. It's like sometimes they do them as like little fundraisers, you know, for schools, like where they'll, you know, maybe you pay $5 to set up your little stall, and then you can keep the money. Or sometimes it'll just be like donation stuff, so all the stuff sold goes to the school. But yeah, it's kind of like a market stall thing. So everyone's got like a little table of shit, and like fucking. There was a kid with like one of those. You remember those stupid hat toys? Like it was like a board game or something, and like you had to wear a hat, and the hat had these little red spindles on it. And I think did it squirt water or some shit?
I feel like it did. But it might be another game that's...
Yeah, or you might have chucked rings at it.
I feel you threw rings at it.
I feel like making a toy that's explicitly about hurling things at your little brother is just asking for trouble, but also, you know, video games weren't very good in 1990.
No.
You know? Like, the stuff hadn't, like, you know, we hadn't been absorbed into, like, 100-hour worlds yet, so toys involved throwing things at your little brother.
We need to bring back... See, that would be my gimmick. If we made a video game console... It would be you can throw things at your sibling to interact with the game.
It's just like old Sega Master Systems we bought from secondhand stores, and then a hat with a target on it that says Sega Master System, and you get a point for every fucking Sega Master System you bean your little brother in the head with.
We'll connect it to the internet, and to log on, you have to hit him in the head.
Dunk. Wow.
Log on confirmed.
I keep noticing that Gribble and Rabbit have the exact same hair, and I keep thinking they're secretly brothers.
See, yeah. Now, when the first time I looked it up, they're not brothers, and it's disturbing. And I think that Gribble Senior has just fucked a rando.
Probably.
And she's taken off and left him with the baby because he's always with the family.
Yeah, it's just the town open secret.
Because Rabbit wasn't with them.
Yeah, everybody knows.
Selling his stuff. He was spruiking his wares.
That was Tiger.
Yeah, Tiger, sorry.
Yeah.
Rabbit is always with Grib.
Yeah.
And it's just, they're always together. Then with the father.
Yeah.
And he's dumb.
God, he really is too. It's probably like
because he hasn't bothered raising him because it's like he's the
found him in
bastard
a-
child.
they found him in a cave. Like, one thing I loved about Tiger's, like, Tiger's got his own table. And, I mean, I feel like a lot of the stuff Tiger was selling there was stolen.
Stolen or broken out of a
Yeah,
bin.
and B, one thing he was selling was a Holy Grail relic. From like, which it was, except it was like $2.99,
Yeah,
which is a pretty good deal for a Holy Grail, actually.
I think so.
I mean, if it can work, if it can like do that shit. Well, the problem was the Holy Grail, like in that Indiana Jones documentary, was just like it didn't work if you go past a certain point.
Yeah,
It's like, okay, I'm immortal, but I got to live in a cave.
yeah.
Which, I mean, imagine going there now.
I mean, you could take the cave with you now, or you could pay a crew to cut the cave out.
see, I feel like God would be like, well, no, because there's like a point in space. So like
If it's
you'd
that
have
point
to
in time and space in that,
yeah,
within
like
that
I feel like you
structure.
wouldn't be able. But I mean, the thing is, like, if you go in there now and you meet the guy, like the fucking, whatever the shit.
Grail guy,
Yeah, like, well, they were the
Grail
fucking,
guard,
what are those?
Knights of the Round Table.
Yeah, well, like that, but they're in the, Assassin's Creed games, the Templars. That's
Oh,
it.
yeah.
So it'd be like a Templar or something, and you'd go in there and be like, "Well, you've got to take over." And, it's very lonely. It's like, no, the internet's around now. I got like a fucking, signal booster like thing. That's just, I'm gonna just sit here and like, catch up on a lot of shit, really. And then him having a look at like, oh yeah, you've got this magic window that like keeps you entertained, and he had to just be there for like 1,000 years with like.
I think he'd just kill you and take it. Now I have the magic device.
Yeah, like I bet he tried to bring a cup and a ball, like just as a thing. But like the Templars were like, none of that luxury. You just got to sit in here and like pray with your cup.
We have a thing.
And now Gribble has it.
Where
Fucking,
you can.
no, Gribble.
We have
Tiger
an
has it.
inflatable mattress. What's that? Well, it's just how you've been sleeping on the rock over there. Well,
Yeah.
it's just soft
Yeah,
and
it's
it
soft.
inflates with magic.
Yeah,
What?
yeah. I breathe into it and then it's just soft forever. So see ya. That's it. I guess my shift begins.
The other thing that's on the table is a TV, and it's playing the music video Pete likes, and Pete starts getting horny.
I'm kind of curious if that, because like the second I saw the music video, I was like, all right, like late 80s pop girl, probably Tina Arena or something. But it's like later on they call her Zan, and I just have no memory of that, which isn't saying much because I don't.
Zan is totally made up.
All right, that's fair. So yeah, like then we get like, the apple doesn't fall too far from the shaft because like, yeah, horny Pete.
Horny dad and horny son.
I know. I feel like being just weirdly overtly horny is such an odd thing to me, It's like, hi, I'm going to make this space horny. And it's like, why? Like as a clumsy means of like flirting or something, it's like, all right, at least there's like an understandable fucking goal here. But it's just like, right, yeah, just going to rock up. I'm horny. It's like, that information not only is not doing me any good, but it's not doing you any good either. Like it's an odd behavior to me,
It really is. So Pete starts getting horny. Linda decides she doesn't want to be a part of this, which is fair enough.
Yeah, I don't want to be a part of that.
And she leaves, and she gets accosted by Matron, who spots her. Linda!
Matron,
Awful screech.
yeah, who looks like, Dame Edna. Because she's got, and you, like, this is like a real thing you'd see. You don't see it much anymore because they've all been dying out. But like the old ladies with like the shock of purple eyeliner and shit. Where it looked like, if they were like 40 years younger, it would make more sense and they'd be in like a cyberpunk setting.
Yeah.
But instead they're like 50 or 60 and have like just almost cyberpunk makeup on, but just in like a normal lady makeup fucking way. And it doesn't look right. And so she's face shaming Linda.
Yeah, no, literally. It was like, she's like, oh, you should. And she's like, oh, I don't really like makeup. And she's like, well, you should.
Yeah, I mean, like, okay, but also you do look like some kind of prostitute clown. Like, I mean, makeup is one thing. Your makeup is awful. Kind of looks like Adam Ant now.
So Matron's she's like, I'll make you pretty. And Linda's like, oh. And she's like, I'll make you as pretty as me. Don't worry. She goes, oh, you promise? Pete spots Fiona slipping out a door. Leaves Bronson alone once again.
I mean, to be fair, yeah, we're all ditching Bronson here.
Everyone's always ditching Bronson.
We can't. I mean, all right, like maybe leaving him out front of a cave was like a yard too far. But like otherwise, yeah, provided he's not near anything sharp or flammable, I'm leaving Bronson.
There's a problem though. The town has a no Bronson policy. Bronson has to be with a family member at all times.
Or on a
Otherwise,
leash.
Too annoying.
Yeah, he has to be leashed.
And muzzled. Don't forget the muzzle.
Muzzled. Please leash your Bronsons.
So he goes in search of Fiona, goes outside.
Fiona's just not there.
Not there.
Because, you know.
Of course.
We're in a flashback in a dream sequence. And fuck your rules.
And there's a toy dog sound.
Yeah.
Little bark. Yip, yip, yip.
Those shitty, yeah. When we're not talking about the robot dogs that have Bluetooth and you can program. There were these little like fucking wind up things basically that had batteries in them, and they'd do a backflip.
And they yip, yip, yip,
yeah.
yip, yip, backflip, yip, 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 backflip. That's what they do.
And a bunch of other stuff starts, like a bunch of other battery commercials basically start running off the roof.
And all landing into Pete's arms, and he's catching them.
Yeah.
And we also see there's an old man sort of sleeping up there.
A fucking wino, like
yeah,
that's what he looks like.
And
very much so.
He comes over to the side of the thing and goes, and wait, like wiggles his eyebrows, and there's a ding noise.
No, the captions are great because it says in brackets eyebrows ding. And like it did that every time he did the eyebrow thing, and it's just like that's fantastic. And just he gets down, and then he explains that he's Santa Claus number 1115 302. And it's like there's an entire, and I see like this I like. Because I like, if you're gonna fucking lie to kids, don't go, oh yeah, there's just a magic fat guy, because that's shitty writing. Like the idea of like, it's so easy to cover for half of these fucking things. Like, why are there more than one Santa? It's like, because they work for him. They're like Santa's agents. You got to treat Santa like some kind of like fucking giant, like CIA kind of situation.
Yeah.
You know, because that explains the spying and, you know, then also why there's like, you know, approved agents. And the thing is, that's there, easy. You know, you've provided a believable reality to your bullshit. And so I like that. Because, yeah, it's like, all right, you know, he's a fucking weird homeless Santa monster, but like that's the point. And like he's got these claws because I don't know, the Santish have evolved.
Yeah. He tells Pete that they've evolved to climb chimneys,
which makes horrifying amounts of sense.
The lore and everything on the Santa and the background building here is
weirdly good.
Great.
It's like, yeah, they would have fucking great climbing claws because they got to climb stuff. I mean, he can also teleport, but like, look, you know, maybe the magic came later.
I don't think he can enter people's homes without their consent. That will come back later, but I'll explain why, I think.
I think my favorite, you know, because like, and you know, Australia, you know, again, like this chimney shit makes sense in like England, where like every fucking place has a fucking chimney. It's like, oh yeah, how else would he get in? Whereas in like Australia, you know, there's not a lot of fucking chimneys. And it's particularly if you're in Queensland. But really, like if you're in Queensland, like, you know, every window's open anyway. So like, cunts are just getting in your house whether you like it or not.
Maybe Santa's mosquitoes.
Yeah, maybe, well, because maybe he can turn into like a cloud of them. Because he's already kind of veering Dracula-ish. I mean, that's what you should do. Like, he's
Santa
just
Dracula?
Well, yeah, like Vlad the Impaler.
Dracula.
God damn it.
Oh.
Dracula. Yeah.
I shouldn't talk sometimes.
Dracula.
So yeah, Santa says that he's taken off early because he had a few drinks.
Yeah, no, well, I had a few drinks. I'm like, that is the most Australian phrase. I had a few. What do you mean by a few? 20. And you're like,
that's not a few.
No, but then they'd say, oh, but they're lights. And it's like, yeah, you can't have a whole carton of lights. Like, you can't do that. Like,
because that's drunk.
Yeah. No, I have seen this conversation take place. Like at my uncle's house is one of his fucking friends when he was complaining about getting pulled over for drunk driving.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, it's just like, well, it was light. It's like, how much did you have? And it's just like, about a carton. Yeah, and like it's just they're not lights don't mean no alcohol. Like it still fucking builds
It's
up.
reduced content.
Yeah, it's just yeah, they're halfies. You can get kind of wankered off 2 6-packs of full strength. So if you double that, congratulations.
If you drink a weak dose of poison, it will eventually become a strong dose of poison.
Yeah.
It can kill you. So he explains that because he wants Pete's help, and if he does, he'll get 2 wishes, and his whole family will get each 2 wishes.
Catching the dolls technically count as helping him? Because I feel like, this is already...
That's what he was saying. Thank you for helping me. And then he put them in the sack. Sorry, I forgot that part. And
he was like, you get 2 wishes. Like, oh, okay. Because 3 wishes are genies, so that makes sense. And then, like, also your family get 2 wishes. Like, blood wish, I suppose. Okay.
I mean, that's pretty rad.
That's a lot of wishes.
That is.
I mean, we're already at more than the genie now. Like, because you only get 3 wishes total with a genie.
Well, that's the thing. I think Santa is below the genie rung. So the genie's more powerful.
I'd have thought so,
So
yeah.
Santa is less powerful, but he can do sort of more because they're less powerful.
And then, like, we're back inside with Bronson wanting to meet, like, Santa Claus, and it's Nell as Santa.
It's Nell. Of course it's fucking Nell, who has no right being in this story. So we had to force her into Santa.
To be fair, she does, when she's in the outfit, all right. Nell has the face of a 70-year-old longshoreman and put the beard on. Yeah, fine. Yeah, looks like fucking Santa. And meanwhile, Linda's been,
I wrote down matron reveals harlot Linda.
Linda looks like a trafficked Serbian child. Because again, it's that thing of like the eyeshadow and the lipstick. It's like, what are you doing to this infant? Like, if you see that in public, you're like, hey, gotta call somebody about this. This is just distressing.
They used to, when I used to work at Stafford, you used to see there was occasionally a few parents, and they were single mums, that would just have their daughter just
in the same like full
gussied
tilt,
up, like fur boots and all that sort of stuff, and it was just makeup, the earrings, everything, and it's like, you're a pimp for your daughter.
It is that thing of like, you'll see it in like, I remember seeing it out in Toowoomba when I was out there. I was just like, oh, look, precocious puberty. And it's just like 12-year-old girls who are like, aha, I've grown tits. Now I'm going to put makeup on. And they don't know what they're doing. And it's just like, I mean, you'd think the Serbian child traffickers would have a better makeup department, but they really don't.
I spend all their water on Gatorade. Spend all their money on Gatorade. Water on Gatorade? Just
spend all their Gator water. And so fucking Santa Claus is just following Pete now.
Yeah. He's like, he needs to give him the wishes. That's his whole thing is like, Pete's not accepting the wishes. He's like, you're full of shit.
Because you do look like a crazy drunk bum.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you can grant wishes and you are contractually obligated to grant wishes, you're supposed to get like wish balls? Like where it's like, you feel pent up. You're like, I have to fucking... Look, I have to fucking do this.
Because he was acting very emotionally. And then he found out there was a fake Santa. And he was not happy about that. And he flew into a rage.
This is a Union Santa, and he's just found Nell the scab.
And then he starts a fight with Nell, which is great.
Picks a fight with an old lady. And like, because like Santa's been on a bit of a tear as he's walked through. Like, Matron calls him a horrible little man, and then Santa looks and goes, looks like you've already got a horrible little man in reference to a horrible little husband.
Which was great.
Yeah, and he's just screaming, I'll rip your belly off in front of kids and stuff at like Nell. And there's a photographer there doing the photos, because that's what we do. We sit children on a fat guy and photograph them, because that's one of our, traditions. And for some reason, and again, it doesn't go anywhere, it doesn't pay off, it doesn't matter. The photographer is like really into watching an intergender Santa fight.
way too into it.
Yeah, and like, don't get me wrong, if I were in the mall and someone said like Santa and trans Santa were having a fight, I'd drop everything to go see that. But there's a difference between that and going, ooh, yeah, while photographing it. You know, you don't need to make those noises.
Work it, baby. Yeah.
And again, yeah, fucking Santa fight. Fuck yeah, I'm gonna fucking watch that. But yeah, just, very good. And then he like, I don't know, enjoys the Santa fight so much he falls over backwards and, you know, knocks the fucking curtain down and everyone's looking at him up there with his weird hobo friend and making fun of him.
And to which he immediately says, he eyebrow dings to get a spotlight on him. And he says he's going to, everyone, let's join in song. And he starts singing Holy Night. And the best part about this is it's not him singing, of course.
Yeah, it's dubbed, but it's like
the voice, like you watch his mouth and it looks completely wrong. Especially when it ends because he's good. He's clenching his whole like mouth.
Yeah, it's the wrong faces because like actual singers can fake it because they know what you got to do to get those noises.
Yeah.
And that's what they do when they're doing like the dubbed, or you know, when they're fucking doing the shows and not actually singing and whatnot. Like they know how to fucking, you know, actually do it. Whereas this guy's just like sort of saying it loudly. And it really doesn't look right. And then just like, I mean, they're singing Holy Night. And I don't think about the lyrics of that a lot because I don't, you know, really experience the song very much. But there's just a bit where they're talking about the baby as being tender and mild, which just sounds like a description of food.
They're eating the babies.
I think so, yeah.
Because, I mean, you're out in the desert.
Yeah, you may as well.
There's not a lot of food. There's not a lot of water.
I mean, if Jesus can heal himself, could you just eat him and then he'd repair? Like, because if you're lost and there's no food, you could just eat Wolverine and he'd come back.
Well, I don't know, because, you know, like Jesus, we put him in a cave, right?
Yeah.
And okay, but his body was all whole, except for the hands, you know, the whole. I don't know what happened if you would take unto yourself part of him.
Or maybe when you rip bits of Jesus off, it turns into those wafers they give you at them big places with the dude in the dress.
It's a possibility.
Yeah.
Wafer chunks.
Yeah. But like wafers aren't nutritional. That's the problem. I'd rather eat Wolverine. Because you could like, if Wolverine and like 40 kids are stuck on a life raft and they got no way of getting food, they can eat Wolverine.
Yeah, because he'll just regrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's fine. I mean, you know, Marvel, if you're listening, I've got a heck of a what if comic. Don't worry, it's not about cannibal children, I promise.
I've got a heck of a restaurant idea. It's also not about cannibal children, don't worry.
Yeah, like my act as a supervillain is to abduct Wolverine and to open a restaurant that serves him. Why are you doing this? This is so upsetting.
We only serve children as well. What?
He is the perfect flavor. So Pete is like, you know, heading home with his wish-balled magic bum Santa in tow, who's not letting the issue drop. And, you know, Pete's like, I live in a lighthouse, haha, no fucking chimneys. And it's like, yeah. So his eyebrows ding and he vanishes. And Pete goes inside and like, who should be inside?
Santa.
And was it Bronson's in there? Bronson's in there, and so is Linda. So now the Santa issue is like, you know, basically coming to a head. And yeah, I wrote down, I bet that's Tina Arena, because I really thought it was Tina Arena, but it's not. It's Zan. I don't know who that is. So like Dad, he implied like Santa's in there, and now like Tony Twist is not all like, oh yeah, let's just believe in whatever because there's a weird homeless guy in his house. So I was like, oh yeah, that's right. Reality is kind of being an issue now. And so he sort of like issue like, and that's fair. Like I do understand being confronted with a nut bar and issuing a challenge because yeah, that's what you at the very least you'll see a nut bar try something crazy.
Yeah.
So he's like, all right, I wish that someone would come and take me all away from this.
And to which Santa goes, all right, eyebrow ding.
Yeah, ding-a-ling-a-ling.
And the door opens and Faye walks in.
Stripped of her free will.
And says, I've come to take you away from all of this.
Yeah.
And Tony, you can see the light turning in his head as he turns to Santa.
And whispers
something in his ear because Tony, he goes, still got your second wish because Tony's about goes, okay, let's get out of here.
Yeah.
Says, wait, you still got your second wish. And that's when he whispers in his ear. And and then Santa goes, ho, 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 you naughty devil.
It's a horny wish.
And it's a horny wish.
So I wrote down horny dad's wish rape because I think that's basically what this is.
It is. If you say, hey, I wish that woman to have sex with me, she has no say in the matter.
Yeah. Like a safe wish in that regard would be, I wish I were like, I don't know, more attractive or something. Because then at least like.
I wish I had the confidence to.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Because
to be a great man on the stage.
Yeah, you're modifying elements of yourself to be just more naturally appealing. It's not like, I want you to bend that person's will in my direction.
Because what happens after?
Yeah.
And the wish wears off. And she realizes she's mated with Tony.
I mean, all right, there's probably something there, like it's a bit like Witcher, where like, there's the wish that like kept Yennefer and fucking Geralt together, but like also, there's argument that, they were plenty horny for each other,
Tony and Faye like each other.
Yeah, and again, it's just like, he should have wished for like the money to take her somewhere nice, maybe, when
you work out wishes are real, wish to be a millionaire because you live in a fucking lighthouse making sculptures for a living.
Yeah, or just wish for someone really famous to love your art. Because there you go, yeah. And it's like, look, I mean,
Wish for Nell not to be able to get into your house.
I wish for a Nell-proof lighthouse. It's just, what does Dad wish for? And the sad thing is, as we learn over the next few minutes, is this is like the only two successful wishes are horrible. It's just like, Faye gets molested. And Bronson's wish is to be bigger than Pete, which, look, I do understand having grown up very small. But then, like, in a genie-like fashion, Santa's means of granting that wish is just to make him Attack on Titan big, but in the lighthouse.
Monkey paw.
Yeah, and it's like, all right, look, are you a genie or are you a Santa Claus? Because it's not like Santa Claus presents are like, oh, here's that thing you wanted, but it's in pieces because fuck you. Like it's, he gives you the things you want.
He's a mischievous drunk, and that's it.
It is probably because he's pissed.
Yeah,
I think that's the fact that we're forgetting here.
Yeah,
he's had a few,
and I love the seat, like the fucking cut around the static.
Yeah. Like, so they've green screened like just through the lighthouse and like they've got like Attack on Bronson peeking down through and like he sneezes on him and they almost get knocked over and then Bronson's like, I don't want to be this big anymore. He's like, all right, off you go. And that was Bronson's two wishes. Yeah, he got to be like really giant in a lighthouse for like 5 seconds. He didn't even get to like go for a walk, It was cramped.
So we move on to Pete's wishes, who's gazing at the TV and goes, I want to meet Zan.
Yeah.
And that's like, okay, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
And he instantly teleports Zan to their location. To which on the TV they're going, "Oh no, where's Zan?
Yeah, where the fuck she go? Yeah,
just there." And she is confused about where she is, and they don't think it's a good idea, so they send her back. And there's Pete's two wishes.
Yep,
boom, gone.
Hi, lady.
Bye,
this
lady.
is fucked. Bye, lady. It's just, I mean, Christ, at least fucking Tony's getting laid out of this. At least something's happening.
On to Linda's wish, and she says...
Well, hang on, because I wrote this down. They all hear the music.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Even the Santa.
Yep.
And they go, that's for later.
Yeah, he said, there's no time for that now.
I'm getting some lost level blue balls on this fucking mystery.
So Linda goes, what about your wish, darling? She goes, don't call me darling. Nick off.
Yeah.
And he goes, okay, ding, and goes away.
There he goes, yeah.
To which we cut back to the schoolyard, and Fiona, a little bit puzzled, saying, oh, Linda, you only got one wish. To which Linda starts laughing and says, oh, well, no. Later on. So they're doing the dishes, commenting on that horny dad's not home yet. He's out late, which is troubling.
Trying to calm Faye down, who's just come to her senses.
To which Nell busts in, of course, because she just walks in, sneaks up.
She's just in the house.
And she's there, and they're like, Pete pushes the Santa at the school, because Bronson still believes that was the real Santa.
Yeah.
He still thinks the wish-granting Santa is not real. And it's like, Bronson, this motherfucker made you big.
That's a frustrating level of stupidity from Bronson this time around. Like sometimes it's just like, oh yeah, you're a dumb kid, but it's like, all right, I met two Santas today. One of them like lost a fight, and the other one turned me into a Titan for like a few minutes. It's like, yeah, I wonder which one's the real fucking Santa Claus, you fucking stupid shit. Like, I'd hit a child for that.
So
Closed fist.
Pete points out that Nell has glitter in her hair from the fight and that she's the Santa.
Yeah.
And Bronson immediately runs, and Nell points out that Pete's a stupid, stupid child. She doesn't say that, but she should. And then closed fist slap him. So that was, I mean, that is a harsh thing to tell a child who believes. And also, Pete, literally, you just saw magic.
Yeah, I feel like
I'm getting upset at everyone who's seeing this and
That's a
going,
good
Santa's
point,
not real.
Yeah, you met like the cabbage dimension and fucking seemingly, and again, like seemingly actual Santa. And I mean, he tells you that he works for like some kind of organization that has like Santa, like the real Santa does exist somewhere. We just don't get to meet him because again, yeah, why would you? Why would you meet the actual fucking Santa? He's like fucking, I don't know, elf wrangling or some shit.
So Linda goes, Pete, I wish you didn't have such a big mouth.
And you just hear you hear him go, okay.
And Pete's mouth goes, ooh.
And we get this long fucking horrible close-up on this weirdly smooth little anus mouth. Of just like, then we get some like weird like, montage shit of people laughing at him. And it's just like, yeah, let's like, this is the bit that's like the real fusion of the Cronenberg body horror component and then like the David Lynch circa Elephant Man use of montage to create a dreamlike upsetting sort of, sensation. Because it's just like, oh yeah, look at this guy get laughed at because of his weird disfigurement.
Yeah.
And all right, it was an acquired disfigurement from magical Santa, but like still, it's not fun to get laughed at. And then Pete wakes up.
And Merry Christmas, Pete.
Dad's got one of those weird gay dude leather caps as like his Christmas gift.
He's a leather daddy.
Okay, I mean, like,
look, he just nailed Faye. He's already exploring, okay?
Yeah. Now that he's had sex again for the first time in probably at least 15 years. Oh no, how old's Bronson? 8? It's been about 8 years.
I thought he was 6.
No, he's 8. 6 is way too young.
Yeah. No,
you ever see a 6-year-old? Like,
I did have a 6-year-old at some
that's
point.
right, yeah.
But that's like 10. That's like 4 years ago, man.
Now, yeah.
That's a long time. I can't remember breakfast. I didn't have breakfast.
That's fair. So, yeah, and then it's like, all right, so. Because the thing is, like, it didn't even resolve the flashback really of the story. Like, you kind of just get this little. Because it goes back to like Fiona and that sitting at the school telling the story. But then it goes back into the flashback. And then it goes to the montage and then back out to reality, I assume, where Pete's been having this baffling fucking dream. And I don't know, I suppose he learned the lesson of not giving Bronson a hard time about Santa Claus. Again, there's no, like, the thing about, particularly David Lynch, and I say this as a man who has written several essays about David Lynch and his, not just his narratives, but his video art, is like, all the weird shit that he does is done for a reason. And it may be it's like reading a different language, Like, if you're unfamiliar with the fucking bits of it, it won't make sense. And it's like, that's fine. But if you have some way of translating it, the stuff does something. It's not like just there for nothing. Whereas like all this stuff that happens in like fucking Round the Twist, like I've got to like maybe think it's about Bronson not being teased for liking Santa, but very little of the rest of the goddamn, work points in that direction. It's just like, hey, want to see some weird shit? It's like, fucking all right, yeah. It's like, is this going to have a moral or is this going to have a conclusion?
There's really literally nothing. There's nothing of substance because they say Merry Christmas and this one's from Santa Claus.
And it's just
Pete opens up and it's just a picture of him and Santa Claus.
From the fucking
dream.
And
signed.
Also the was that in the flashback in the dream? I think it was. It was telling, because it's telling, so it's like, here's a picture of Santa, because they do that all the time with Santa shit, where it's like, oh, and it turns out he's real. But like this time it was like, oh, it turns out the Santa you talked about in your dream was real. So I was like, Santa from like 2 dreams deep. Like, didn't Inception have rules about this? Because you go dreams within dreams and then like 20 minutes passes outside of some shit.
It's an ABC program that has a small budget and just decided they want to make. I feel this was a filler episode. This was like a not one with not substance. Because
Like-
there was no lesson. Like
No, and
the
like-
only lesson was not to have a big mouth and give Bronson a hard time, as he said. But that's
I'm having a reach for that.
that's a reach, yeah.
Yeah.
Because the punishment has to fit,
Yeah,
and then stick, and then you show remorse. The punishment was instantly just reversed because he woke up from the dream.
Yeah, and like
We didn't get a conclusion to that.
no, and then just the tag of just like, oh, also here's a present from the weird Santa Claus thing again. It's like, oh, okay, so I mean, like now I'm pining for the fucking satisfying, functional narrative reality of like the fucking Cabbage Patch Baby. Like I want that back. I want something where the story.
You know what I say? Release the Snyder Cut.
All right, it's in 5x3. You don't. Okay, so it makes them look bigger. It's okay. This is just if you
need a vertical monitor.
Yeah, if you turn your television upside down, Superman will be huge. You won't be able to see anything else. It's okay.
He detailed his package in like immense detail.
Oh god, fucking Snyder.
So what are the have you ever felt likes for this one?
Okay, have you ever felt like this? When did you stop believing in Santa? If you ever did. What was your best Christmas present? And the last one I was kind of stuck on for a while. So, have you ever been chased up a bell tower? Have you ever had a weird tiny mouth? I feel like maybe those are a little too niche. So I've gone with, have you ever been mocked by a teacher? So we'll go with number 1. When did you stop believing in Santa? If you ever did believe in Santa.
For me, I think it was when I played the Christmas edition of Duke Nukem. Because Santa was the boss.
Duke
the
Nukem made
final
adults of
boss.
us all.
And if Santa was real, he wouldn't let Duke Nukem make a mockery of him.
Was this Duke Nukem 3D?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it was the expansion pack.
Yeah, I was trying to remember which one it was.
But you start by surfing in on a surfboard into a hotel. It's a wacky expansion pack, man.
It's an old Duke Nukem 90s expansion pack.
So yeah, I honestly couldn't tell you the real answer. Like I can't remember when. It's way too long ago. My brain's fried. Can you remember?
It was probably around 6 or 7, give or take. I remember when I was 5, getting a remote control car. I'm pretty sure I still thought it was from Santa then. But like, see, when was it? Would have been 1990. So I know by around the time I was getting the Mega Drive, which was early 90s, I think it was like 91 or something, 92. It'd have been around 8. I remember I already knew what the score was then, because I knew that I was trying to haggle the Mega Drive into the family budget. Like, so I knew that. So somewhere between then, like, I feel like if it were up to Dad, it wouldn't have been a thing in the family. But like, I don't know, Mum's still in weird ways kind of attached to these sort of like little things.
I think the last present I remember getting was like a big turtle Zoid from Power Rangers, and I can't remember what year it was, but it would have been probably between 6 to 10.
I think that's about the age for it. Like anything under that, it's like, yeah, you can just still believe in all sorts of nonsense.
Otherwise, as you get older, you might discover presents being put aside. And it could have tags already pre-tagged. You could see from Santa and you'll be like, hey.
I'm kind of curious how, like, what the age of the internet has done to that, Like, I'm wondering what the general degree of Santaology is for, like, the, whether, because I off the bat, I'd suspect it's decreased.
Because, like, the thing is, I don't know if my child believes in Santa.
I mean, she's 10, and
it depends what, like, I haven't told her that Santa's not real, so it depends on what her mother's told her. and stuff.
Okay.
So I don't know. I'll check back on that. I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Next one.
Yeah, I was gonna say you ask her that because I'll just go around and go, hey, has your head been filled with bullshit yet? Okay, what was your best Christmas present? That should be a little easier.
Pretty sure it was Mega Drive.
I mean, like, again, for me, it was, because my brother asked for the Master System. Like, before that, video games were a thing you had to go to, like, a place for. There was the Atari, but, like, by, like, 89, that was fairly crap. And the NES and the Master System and stuff were around, I think, like 85. But like that shit took a little while to get to Australia back then.
I had a Mega Drive 2 with Sonic 2. That was the Sonic 2 pack. That was my best Christmas present, I think.
That's pretty good. Yeah, I still like, because, before that, I was like really into remote control cars. But then after the Master System, it was just like, I don't give a fuck about those anymore.
I did have a pretty cool remote control car. It was one of those ones with the really big tires, and it had a different car on the back of it. So if you drive and flipped,
yeah, I remember that, and it flipped.
It had another one, and you just kept going.
I had one that like had that snake in it, and when you pushed a button, it'd raise up and it'd squirt water.
That's pretty sick.
Yeah, no, I did enjoy that because you could harass people with it.
I feel that cars don't do shit like that anymore.
I mean, you can get like drones and stuff now. Like the whole thing is just sort of, it's a different world.
Yeah, fuck them. The thing is, I like when drones became big and popular.
Yeah, but you can get those remote control helicopters for like nothing.
Yeah, I know.
And those are still pretty okay. They're
and
almost impossible to fly.
Looking at drones, the thing that pisses me off about drones the most, and the reason I don't own one, is the battery life. Well, that and flight laws, because they're very, strict on where you can fly them and that
I feel like
stuff.
that's good.
That is. Yeah, you need that for privacy.
I feel like the fucking dangerous moron capacity for like drones is just very high.
100%. So yeah, they like, I'm not into a $600 device that can fly for 20 minutes.
Oh, fuck no.
Like that's not it for me.
I'm not buying us. No, I'll buy, because you can get, like, they're not, good, but like they're good enough. Like, again, like, for someone who grew up with like, oh yeah, this remote control car has a thing that squirts water, which was fucking amazing. Like, if they could put a water pistol on a drone, like, and, package that for under
a little chopper that shoots little Nerf missiles.
Yeah, I'd still go water, because like Nerf missiles are fun, but like water's kind of annoying. Like, I don't want to get squirted. So like, I feel like you could really just...
You could fill it with pee.
You could really... Yeah, see, now you fucking see. I didn't even think about that.
Now we're cooking with urine.
Yeah, I don't think it ever occurred to me to put urine in the remote control car, which is very not like me.
Well, you don't want to pee in your car.
Well, the problem was getting any water into the little reservoir that it had was like a fucking hassle. So I feel like it was always like, oh, now I got to do the fucking thing. It was never like, hey, what's a creative approach hey, how can I piss on my brother and only have him realize like much later? Sadly, I've never been chased by a bell tower or had a weird tiny mouth.
I have not had either.
Yeah, those aren't real questions. I mean, if you're ugly and come from Eastern Europe and have been chased by a bell tower, feel free to email us. But
if you've had botched surgery and have a weird tiny mouth,
yeah, feel free to.
I mean, does my bumhole count? That's a weird tiny mouth.
I mean, it counts in some ways, but not for this.
I guess it's a hole more than a mouth.
It's not a mouth, yeah. A mouth. I didn't say, have you ever had a weird tiny hole?
How do you define a mouth?
Face hole that food goes into, where it can be digested. So you're not allowed, just because you stand on your hands and stuff something up your ass doesn't turn that into a fucking mouth. A mouth is a mouth. People can have broken mouths and fucked up mouths due to birth defects or something, but it's still like that's a variation on an existing rule. Okay, you're not going to play people at home are going to play these idiot categorical arguments with me.
Mouth, noun, the opening, a cavity in the lower part of the human face, surrounded by the lips, through which food is taken in and vocal sounds are emitted.
Surrounded by lips. Have you ever been mocked by a teacher? Because I've done prac work and it's tough. Because like my head is full of stupid, things and Simpsons references and I like to joke a lot. But like you can't do that shit as a teacher. Because like what Mr. Stan Stash did to Pete is like a guarantee of giving that kid a complex of some description. Like the teacher cannot stand there and join in with the crowd of students going ha 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 at What the fuck? Like that's
No, they're there to assert authority and make sure the kids learn.
Yeah,
not to fucking.
You're basically
traumatize
creating a
this
school
child.
shooter. Like that's just a guarantee. Like if you just pray that kid doesn't get access to a gun.
Child, you're stupid. I'm the teacher.
Yeah.
These children are laughing at you.
And like again, like that was because it could be weird for people who listen to us, for people to not know that I did like sort of teaching study, because but it's like it's one of those things where it's like your tone of voice when you're on the phone with your grandma is different to how you speak with your friends. It's like I had a just complete 180 personality for when I was doing classwork, because you just have to. Because I remember when I was in class once, I never got mocked by a teacher, but I saw it happen. And yeah, again, it's like, you're looking lucky this kid's not killing themselves, because there was a girl in one of my classes and her last name was Pizik, and because I know, and it was this one was my fault, but again, it's like that bit of like my head that just instantly twists and spoonerizes words and shit. So I mean, I just without even like, and that's the thing is I just didn't even consider this bullying or anything. I just started calling her Pistic, because it was just like Pizik. It's like, what else do you expect me to do? Like it was, it's as natural as like a cat chasing a bit of string for me. And then it was like fucking social studies, and the teacher, I don't think really grasped that it was mean, and maybe thought it was just like a nickname, and didn't like, just in a moment, just said, yeah, piss stick.
Oh no.
I know.
No.
I know. And I remember this because like that was one of those like, oh, I hurt people. Like, and I felt really because she like just ran out of the class. And like that was that was a whole thing. Like that the fucking worst part about that was like the class wasn't even halfway over. So like we still had like fucking 20 minutes or 25 minutes of fucking social studies to go. And it's just like, well,
I mean, you were studying social behavior.
Yeah, well, I mean, social studies like fucking, Queensland doesn't have an upper house, like that kind of shit.
Yeah,
we're not like learning. This is what happens.
A joke.
Yeah, this is what happens when you destroy a teenage girl's self-esteem. What are we going to learn
to
to
be
class?
the sacrifice today?
Okay, children, today it's carousel. Pick one to suffer.
For me, I can't remember being mocked. I know a few other people got mocked. More playful, and I believe
I was never bullied. No,
I believe it was for mostly from the sort of shop teachers.
That tracks.
Because they're always, men, we stand around and we make wood with our hands and firmly grasp that wood,
Yeah, we control the wood. You will listen to us.
But yeah, like I don't remember too much. I know there was a few kids who weren't as intelligent. That's the nice way to put it. And I know some of those would have a banter with a teacher or two back and forth.
Yeah, see that's a little different. Like I could,
but
like,
I can't recall a teacher openly mocking a child.
Yeah, see, like, I feel like that wasn't the intent in this situation.
Oh no, 100%.
Yeah, but like, I mean, so I remember one of the student teachers. Oh fuck, yeah, I forgot about this one. I remember that's the problem is I don't think about this stuff for reasons that should be obvious. But like, one of the student teachers one time, fucking one of the kids in class said to another one of the kids, "Suck my dick," and he says, "Well, better get a straw." And like that, don't get me wrong, that kid had it coming because he was being the aggressor in that instance. But like, I mean, I remember one time we were in human relationships education, which was the absolutely fantastic term that we had for sex ed.
Excellent.
And, it got like, the teacher was talking about how like, some women don't climax. And one of the stupidest humans we had in our school of like 500 people raised his hand, and he was like the only like really, truly, properly dumb homophobic jock we had in this entire school. It's fucking amazing. And he goes, "Is that true, miss?" And my friend shouted out, "Only when they're with you." And the teacher lost her shit. Like in tears laughing at this kid. And I feel like that kind of is in the same category. Like, that's just the whole room is just like, you've
just okayed it.
Yeah, we're going to scar this kid's DNA with this experience. Okay, so for those of you playing at home and allowing us to make fun of you,
thank you,
on our little program. Yeah, that is lovely because I mean it is very funny. But yeah, we have to ask, if you've ever felt like any of these things, feel free to email us at IHaveFeltLikeThis, all lowercase, at yahoo.com and answer the questions. When did you stop believing in Santa if you ever did? What was your best Christmas present? I mean, if you've ever been in a bell tower or had a tiny mouth, yeah, go for it, but those aren't official. And have you ever been mocked by a teacher? And we're going to go now. All right, look, go to the thing. Do what I say, machine. Stop arguing with me.
I'm upset that yahooseries.com is still a website. I want it so I can have the email at yahooseries.com.
With Israel been in the news lately and its leader, Benjamin Netanyahu, I've only been able to think Benjamin Netanyahu serious, which is completely dumb and... Okay. All right, so now we're going to go to some answers from our victims / listeners. We got one from Nolan. Dear Aaron and Gabe, I'm enjoying the podcast thus far. Keep up the good work. I'm sure there are a ton of small issues with my letter because I'm turbo dyslexic and this isn't spell checked. I will note that this is all flawlessly written and properly punctuated. So, this is like when Europeans go, sorry, I can't speak very good English in like perfect English.
Yeah.
It's like, look, shut up. Question 1. Have you ever taken care of a baby? No, and I don't intend to. If I am to raise a kid, I'd rather adopt one. I have a pessimistic view of the future, and the thought of bringing a new live being into the world scares me beyond belief. All right, so what I take from that is no one is going to go around abducting kids. Which is, I mean, look, someone's got to. It's just, where he comes from, they're probably like stray.
Where do you think our merch comes from?
Question 2. Have you ever been thrown up on? Thankfully, no, but while typing this, I did burp and nearly throw up on my floor. Okay. What? I do vividly remember throwing up as a kid when I went in my parents' room to tell them I got half a word out before I ralphed on their bed. Question 3. How old were you when or if you received the talk? In short, I'm a self-taught man. That's a great way of putting that. My parents never got around to that, and my school let me down like an old car on a morning commute. My health class taught me more about cooking safety than about safe sex. Their education system even went out of its way to repeatedly tell us that condoms don't work 100% of the time, but refuse to tell us that they prevented STDs. All right, there's got to be like Catholic education. I can smell that shit from here. I mean, to be fair, lucky you didn't wind up in a mass grave in the back of the school.
Yeah.
For some reason, the education in my state decided to teach us that we could only be incels opting for a way of abstinence until we wanted to start a family, or turbo whores that will give you an STD by shaking your hand.
Turbo whore.
Turbo whores. Something that hangs me up about that class is just how angry the teacher was with us. Almost like she resented everyone for being there and that they were undeserving of the knowledge she was paid to give us. That's amazing. Update. I just found out that the teacher I smack talked died of a particularly vicious disease today. I look like a colossal tool. I wonder if it was an STD.
That'd be ironic.
Yeah, they died of like really vicious fucking,
gonorrhea.
Genital warts or something.
Gonorrhea.
Got this one from Tim.
Hi,
Dear
Tim.
Angry Aaron and Gluttonous Gabe, I have a fun vomit story. I think I've said this in the KC Discord, but I used to work at McDonald's, and that Mac has just happened to be next to 3 different nightclubs in Ringwood, Victoria. That's an unfortunate sounding location. It sounds like a disease.
I've got the Ringwood.
Yeah, like if you told me, like if your fucking next, newsletter for your bumhole was like, well, Aaron has Ringwood, I'd be like, oh, okay. I'd assume that's some kind of like calcification.
I've always had a fear of getting worms.
Yeah, no, it's
because like imagine just a worm
gross.
out of your butt.
No, I don't want to. That's unpleasant. I worked the graveyard shift on Friday nights and weekends, so we got everyone coming in from the clubs. Yeah, these are vile. I've seen these things. These are vile. People who are not only drunk, but also high on all kinds of drugs, mostly speed and weed. One time, I was on maintenance duty, and a drunk girl was passed out on one of the tables on top of several half-eaten quarter-pounders. Manager and I come over to try and wake her, and as she was leaving, she just lets it out everywhere, and some of it lands on me. So I had to go and clean up this McDonald's and alcohol-infused mess on top of cleaning up the rest of the restaurant. It wasn't fun. In regards to finding out about sex, I didn't find out from my parents. I found out through the power of anime. Uh-oh. I was a big fan of Toonami when it was on Adult Swim in Australia, and I was a big weeb growing up in school. I used to print out hentai pictures in the school library.
Can we just for 1 second acknowledge the motherfucking balls on this motherfucker? Going into the library, the public school library.
Yeah.
And just printing hentai.
I kind of want to find out where they went to school now because I want to know if he got caught because so help me God.
I feel like the librarian would have seen and just kept going.
If someone was printing hentai in our school library, that would have, like, I'd still know their first and last name to this day, and I would probably still keep tabs on where they live.
That person would have got beaten to a bloody pulp at my school.
They wouldn't have gotten beaten at my school. It would have just been like, oh, you've just all you're going to hear about for the rest of your school life.
Actually, no, they probably wouldn't have been beaten. We didn't really have any people that beat people. I shouldn't say that.
All right. I like that they've been a bit shorter, actually, because I will bring that up. Don't write a 5,000-word essay. Okay, just try and keep these, like, as short as have been so far. This is from Robin. Hey gang, killing two birds with one stone. I once took part in an eating contest of hotel breakfast hash browns on a school outing I was at 14. I won, with the result that an hour later I hurled into the street in central London. This probably gave passers-by the impression I was some sort of teenage junkie, but at least I won. Yeah, that's true. It's important to look like a junkie but have consumed a dangerous amount of hashed browns. I have never been pantsed by a pantser, but I have managed to make myself the pantsy. Huh? We were on a school exchange trip to Holland. Man, what fucking school do you go to? Fucking magical goddamn school. I'm going to another country. Fucking
you gotta remember, it's
Europe.
just like that's down the street.
Fuck, that annoys me.
They can just walk over like 5 countries.
And just be like, oh yeah, look, there's Holland.
Yeah. Just going to Holland to get some sugar. Like,
yeah, I'm popping over to Holland to borrow some sugar. And one of our planned excursions was to the local ice rink. I hadn't previously needed a belt for the jeans I was wearing, but hadn't reckoned with the unusual hip motions involved in trying to stay upright on ice skates when you have poor balance to begin with and have never skated. Long story short, my pants came down in front of half of my school year and several onlookers on a Dutch ice rink. Naturally, the need to stay upright made the process of pulling them back on even worse. Somehow I avoided the worst potential bullying after another kid managed to get kicked out by his host family the same day, becoming the story of the trip and pushing my incident out of the headlines. I want to know what happened there. All right, so yeah, Robin, you owe us what your other kid managed to do, because you're correct. Your pants came down on a fucking skate. I don't care. What did this kid manage to get kicked out of the host family? Robin, you've been immediately pushed out of the headlines.
Sorry, Robin. You are not the father.
One from Butt Nugget. Hi, Aaron and Gabe. Don't read my name out, please. 2 quick bullying stories. One time I was walking down the road, like again, don't read my name up before the Aaron and Gabe.
Does he mean like his first name?
I don't know.
Dear Beep.
Yeah, dear Butt Nugget. That's what your name is now. One time I was walking down the road with a friend and the local cretins drove by and threw an egg at me. The shell cracked on me, but the yolk sprayed on my friend. Hilarious. That is funny. Another was I was in the first year of high school being bullied by a senior in high school. Nothing major, just general pushing and name calling. It didn't really bother me, but was casually mentioning it to my mum as she was near the end of the school year and he would be leaving, so the issue would be gone. Arrive at school the next week and expect some form of bullying, but the bully kept away from me, which was odd. I passed it off as boredom. Years later, I was speaking to my older brother, who was a security guard, BJJ instructor, aka a bald ape, who then told me he had beaten and threatened the kid quite badly. All the best, Butt Nugget. Here's another one from Nolan on the spaghetti pig out. Have I ever eaten to the point of getting sick? I have. In 7th grade, my Spanish class had a big celebration at the end of the semester where we had to bring a bunch of food. That's natural. Yeah, we had those. I didn't prepare for it, so I bought a bunch of 2-liter bottles of Mexican soda at the grocery store across the street from my school. Well, something. Someone's got to bring the drinks.
Yeah.
My class had their celebration before lunch, and I ate a shit ton of desserts. Afterwards, I was handing out the remaining 2-liter soda bottles to classmates because there was no way they were going to fit in my locker. I kept the root beer flavored one for myself. It was by far the weakest of the flavors, so it was the closest to being full. We were then dismissed for lunch. I got it in my mind that my parents had already paid for my school lunches. I might as well eat that too. So I was swigging from my 2-liter bottle of soda and eating a chicken sandwich. It's a fucking mystery to me why I used to be fat. My friend and I finished our lunch and we were walking around the field when one of the teachers walks up to me and says something to the effect of, "Hey, you can't drink that soda out here, but I'll be nice and let you take one last drink from it before you throw it away." My friend and I were next to the kids playing football when all this went down, and they must have overheard the teacher because they all circled me and started to shout, "Chug, chug, chug." Fair enough. I bit down on the rim of the bottle, that's weird, and threw my head back. Air bubbles were seen inside the bottle as I took short gasps of air. The crowd cheered and cheered. The teacher quietly tried to point out the fact that I had taken far more than a drink from my bottle. Finally, I finished off the bottle, but instead of hearing the cheering that I felt I deserved, the whole crowd just lost interest as soon as I finished the bottle. That's funny. After everyone dispersed, I suddenly realized how much food I had eaten the whole day, and my stomach felt awful. My friend guided me back to the building as I waddled like a sick penguin. I reached a trash can, but it didn't have an open lid, so I tried to fit my head in the hole. But ended up just spewing along the side of the bin while a kid pointed at me and simply said, "Ew." They were right to do that. Last one from... Oh, Jesus Christ, no name, please. Fucking, all right, well, we're going to bleep you. No. At least they put it up. At least that was first. I have witnessed an eating contest. It was a pie eating contest in college in which the goal was to eat 3 miniature key lime pies in the fastest time possible. The chosen representative for my residence hall floor was the weird kid who had given to getting whacked out on combos of uppers and psychedelics and causing problems for everyone else. But no one wanted to get rid of him because he was the main drug connection from the whole floor. Yep.
Genius fun.
Right out of the gate, he began to demolish the pies with his bare hands. I mean, how big's a mini key lime pie, really? I mean, scooping globs into his face, but knowing him, that was not all that was affecting him at the time. If memory serves, he finished all 3 pies before anyone else even made it through one. I have attached small clips of the full 3-minute horribly shot video. Oh, fuck yeah. I don't know where he is now. Last I knew, he dropped out after renting a house with 2 other acquaintances from the floor and left them with the lease, owing them hundreds of back rent already. He apparently managed to get an internship at a Disney park through his well-connected parents, but was kicked out for tripping while at work in the park. Yeah.
Christ.
Only Walt was allowed to be fucked up on premises. It was like that and like mustaches. Those were his 2 rules. And Jews. All right, so we got some good stories this week.
Some good stories.
Yeah, that's a solid one. I mean, there's nothing. As this being a podcast, it's not like we can show you these videos. Although that is great. Like I do love the idea of visual aids. But yeah. So remember, yep. It is the questions. You send them to. Where are your little Yahoo Mail thing?
YahooSerious.com.
Don't put Yahoo Serious in my head, all right? That fucks with me. Tampers with my brain. So I have felt like this, all lowercase, no spaces or hyphens or any weird, shenanigans like that. I have felt like this at yahoo.com. Our questions this week are, when did you stop believing in Santa, if you ever did? What was your best Christmas present? And have you ever been mocked by a teacher?
And if you have a weird, tiny little mouth, please write us.
Yeah, that I want a picture for, so we'll put your weird little mouth on Twitter, and profit from your disfigurement.
My name's been Aaron Twist. You can find me at KEC Aaron on Twitter, and keepitclassy.com is our website. Gabriel, where do we find you?
I'm usually, passed out on the roof after having had a couple of drinks.
Naturally, Australian tradition.
Yeah, but you can also find me at Gabriel on Guard at Twitter. And that's about it. I'm not attractive enough for like an Instagram or anything.
Yeah, that's fair. We have felt like this. Good night.
All right, poodles.